So today I want to introduce Melissa, who is really fantastic. Not Melissa is one of those people who is super achiever. She's doesn't look like that. She's only 28, and she's been in top 500 Fortune companies working for almost a decade, and then stopped everything, not because something did not work out, because everything worked quite greatly, and started her own marketing agency where people working for her. But you'll never know that. She's the most humble individual. She's the most kind and sweet person. Like today, I wasn't sure if Carlos gonna join. So I said, Melissa said, do you need me? I literally was 7 or 6 o'clock. I said, you know, Carlos did not reply, which means it doesn't mean no, and it doesn't mean yes. It means that Carlos is just busy. And I said, do you mind to jump? And Melissa said, yeah, no problem. I'm here. So thank you for being the most amazing friend I've ever had in my life. And I can't wait to hear more about what you have to say today. The floor is yours.
Veronica always has the best introductions. If you guys don't know Veronica yet, she like can introduce. I think I will hire you to introduce me in any stage, Veronica.
Good. Speaking time.
You are the best introducer. Can I just take a minute, because I know what Carlos does, but can I ask what Jeremiah and Sonia, what you guys do, just so I have a better understanding?
Yeah.
I'm a Christian fantasy author, and I'm a corrections officer here in Orange Beach, Alabama.
Wow, that's awesome.
Although I look tiny, I'm actually 310 pounds and 6'3".
Wow.
Kind of small on the screen.
You could body slam any one of us, huh?
No, gosh, no. I'd be sued. But anyway, that's
Jeremiah is one of the. He's like a teddy bear. He's one of the kindest and sweetest people. Like I've connected with him a few times. He's like the sweetest and the kindest person I've ever met.
Oh, thank you.
And Sonia, I didn't had a chance to connect with you. If you could turn on your video for a second, just tell us a little bit about you, because I don't know anything about you either.
Hi, it's Sonia from Surabaya, Indonesia. Sorry, I'm doing my task also here. So it's 10 a.m. in the morning, that's why I will be busy, but I am on your video, of course. So in here, I have already started to coach people. I haven't choose my niche yet because I have people. It can be, you know, teenager, it can be parents, it can be businesswoman, it can be businessman. So everyone, they contacted me, but then I started to focus on online also to introduce myself, but I haven't started to have online clients. Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
So what do you exactly do?
For coaching, high performance transformation one.
Oh,
But then in here, yeah, but in here also the parents need me, so that next month I'm going to have workshop for them for the overcoming adversity for parents here.
Got it.
So, and I've just returned from Jakarta 2 days ago. I made workshops also there. And then I got 2 coaching clients in Jakarta. So next month I have to return to Jakarta again.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Thank you. So I will turn off my video because I have to type. Sorry. But I'm following and listening, don't worry.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask what you're doing, or what is of interest for you?
For me, I would like to have the online coaching and focus on it for the following year, because you know last year was my worst time here, that all of my business were broken in my boutique and also in my in my tourism business. So because of so many things happens here, like the bomb in the city, you know, so it influenced the retails here. Luckily 3 years ago I started to be interested in coaching business, and I started to learn about it because all this time I help people, but I didn't know that it is a coaching, you know. I just help people, give them like consultation also, but it's not. But I know that coaching is not consultation. I know that I'm good at it, but I at that time I didn't know if it is coaching. So I learned from three international coaches, and then yeah, that's why finally I decided to start the online coaching.
Mm, that's
Not
awesome.
only with the workshop or with the coaching offline here in Indonesia, because it makes me real busy to travel, you know, and it is okay if I travel for fun, but this is for facing client and make workshops, so that is not fun anymore because it takes a lot of time, right?
Yeah, Veronica
Uh,
knows.
yeah, that's why I needed to start it online. So I introduced myself, but I haven't focused on, you know, giving my values regularly so that I'll promote regularly to catch the customers online or the clients online.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sonia.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. And how about you, Jeremiah?
As far as like what I'm interested in,
Yeah, in marketing. What's like of interest to you to learn from a marketing point of view?
is there a reverb? Can you hear my voice over and over again?
Jim, do you mind to turn off your one of your videos, please? Thank you.
No, it's still going.
Jim, can you turn off the one of the videos and mute the other one? Let me see.
I think you have 3 different videos going, Jim.
Yeah.
I don't hear it anymore.
It's gone.
Okay. So as far as marketing goes, I've got a book coming out the second week of April. It's Diaries of a Holy Night, the In-Between. It's about 7 teens that go to a different world. They're all going through different, you know, struggles in their life, and they have to save an angel from a demon king. But the real trouble starts when they get back and they have to go through high school. So I'm getting ready for that launch. So as far as marketing goes, you know, how do I reach my target customer of 7 to 32? Like, how do I, and should I narrow that even down more? And, you know, obviously I'm looking for Christians, so I know that much. But then, you know, to try to grab that market in that, you know, that space of age. And of course, do 7-year-olds have money for books? You know, I got to target their parents. And, you know, I do apologize. I'm rambling.
No, that's
So.
totally fine. Not a problem. That's really good. That's helpful. Jim, we're doing like a quick background on everybody on the call.
Jim, are you there? Can you show your pretty face? I haven't seen you in a while. I think he's figuring out the technology, so. But he's a technology guy, so I'll tell you a little bit about Jim because I know Jim Goodzik very well. We actually met at a big mastermind many years ago. He's a consultant, IT consultant for corporates.
Is he working on anything in particular, any projects, personal projects?
Yeah, I think for him is just how can he find his clients online. So basically the same thing as Jeremiah, is a very specific niche how he finds them and targets them so he doesn't have to look for them all the time.
Okay. Also, Carlos, I know you're super busy. I just want to give you my full permission that if you need to like, if you need to segue your time, if you need to go for any reason, I give you my full permission. I don't want you to think that I would feel bad at all. So just want you to know that I understand. And if you have anything to chime in, I also give you my full permission to like intersect. Carlos is also a branding specialist. So we know each other from Veronica, actually, who's a really good connector. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that.
I connect, I create what I don't see in the world, so then I connect people.
Yeah, you're
And
really
I'm
good
one of the biggest clients, so if I don't see anything, I just create to my own liking, and then everybody else is happy.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
you're
I have till 8:30, so I'm good.
okay. Beautiful. Well, it's really great to meet all of you guys. I've met Veronica, and I'm not sure how you guys met everyone, Veronica, but I met her through a networking event. And she started coaching me, and I started guiding her on marketing as well. And, you know, working with Veronica was like, you know, I would say life-changing, to be the least. And I think it's the place that I met her in was like a very tumultuous time for clarity and for where to go next, and just an overwhelm of change. And I firmly believe that God will place the things that you need when you need them, and the people you need and the things that you need. So I was very, very lucky to work with Veronica. I feel like a lot of progress and growth came from it, and I still work with her. You know, she gets at me sometimes for missing sessions. So don't miss sessions, because she will hold on to it and not be, she'll be upset. Yes. Let me get to what I do. I do mostly digital marketing, social media. I'll leave the branding topic to Carlos. He'll talk more about, you know, your personal brand and, you know, how to like position yourself in that positioning and where to go and in that dimension. But what I focus more on is helping companies connect to their target market, which sounds like it's a need for you guys. So one of the things, and I'm sure there's a little overlaps, but one of the things that we do is we create, the first thing we do with every client before we start anything is we create target personas. And it's a really, really important exercise that you'll want to go through for yourself. And I really encourage you guys to do this. And what we do with our clients is we'll sit there, and if they already have a business, we'll say, all right, tell us about your 3 most common personas. And it can be the low tier, middle tier, and high tier. Think of them like that. 3 tiers is always a good number. And so we say, who's your small tier client? Who's your middle tier client that spends the most, is probably the biggest headache. And then who's your VIP client who spends the absolute most, but you only have 2 or 3 of. And then who's a small client who doesn't spend a lot and it's not a big client. So it's important to know the 3 tiers, who's Susie, who's John, and who's Justin, and understanding Susie, John, and Justin, and to a point where like, you know, like you can get into their like emotions and their feelings and their pain points and their needs and, you know, what they care about the most. And it sounds super like, you know, super like a thing in the air. So it's important to literally talk to them like, okay, Susie, I know that you are looking for a transformation in your life. I know that you've been trying different things and they haven't worked for you before. I know how difficult it is to feel stuck. I know how difficult it is to not have the resources or to feel like you don't have the resources. I know you've gone to these Facebook pages. I know that you've gone to these meetups. I know that you've talked to this about with your friends, that you've tried X program and this program. Because as you can see what I'm doing, the more I talk about Susie, the clearer it becomes the next step. So a lot of us, sometimes we struggle with how do I reach my ideal client? It's because we're jumping steps, we're rushing the process because we don't trust the process. And if we know anything about religion, it's all about trust the process, right? So creating a process, the forefront of it is integral to anything that you do. And following that process and trusting that it's going to unfold and work for you is very, very important. Because if you don't, when you skip steps, you're going to look back and say that didn't work. So then you're going to try another process. It's like a diet. You're going to skip the process of the diet diet and like, you're going to say, well, Jenny Craig's didn't work, Weight Watchers didn't work. But did you really follow the steps one by one? Did you really count the points? Did you really write them down? Did you really buy the food? Did you stick to it? Did you cheat at any point? If you did cheat, did you fix those changes? So marketing, just like anything else, is a process. And it's about fine-tuning and figuring out the process that you can work with and then following it. Because it's going to be different for everyone. And here's the secret. There's no perfect process. There's nothing that's like, okay, one size fits all, like anything. So what you've got to do is you've got to find the commonalities and the processes that you find and pick the steps that resonate the most with you. What's resonated the most with me is creating client personas. Very, very, and you can find these templates online, very simple Google client persona template. And I want you to do the exercise of creating these personas. It'll take you only a few hours. And this is like, think of the personas like a thesis statement for your research paper. This is what you always have to go back to. Who am I talking to? Because what you've created is supposed to fill the need for who you're talking to. You're not creating something and hoping people come to it. You're creating something that speaks to a particular individual. So you can't make up a person. Like you can't just be like, Susie really wants this book. Like, no, does Susie really want this book? Because if she doesn't, you're gonna have to find another persona. So it has to match to a person. It has to match to a demographic. You mentioned to me, Jeremiah, that you're like, it's 7 to 35. I don't know if that's, too broad of a range. It probably is too broad of a range, but I don't know that answer because I don't know exactly who is gonna buy your book. You could very well target 7-year-olds, but of course the messaging is gonna be different because the person buying it is the mother of the 7-year-old. So but the way you speak to the mother is a different way than if you spoke to her, like if she's buying it for herself, right? Because two very different messages, two different needs, two different pain points. That's already two personas. There's a mother, and then there's a woman who needs some guidance in her life in this very moment. Maybe she's going through a divorce, or she's going through a heartbreak, whatever that is. That's a very different message than the person who has a kid. Same thing with you, Sonia. Like when you're speaking to your transformational clients, or you're looking for them, I think something good that Veronica does is that she's niched down to a point where she speaks about clarity. And transformation is a very big topic. So what you want to figure out is what part of a transformation do I want to focus on? Or what matters most to the person that I'm talking to? Is it financial transformation? Is it love? Is it emotional? Is it physical transformation? Is it health? Am I changing her body? Am I changing her mental being? You gotta find what it is you want to focus on and let go of the fear that if I focus, I'm gonna lose clients. Because the fact of the matter is that you're not gonna lose anyone. If anything, you're gonna attract more people, and you're going to be able to focus better, and you're going to be able to deliver higher quality and more excellence. Like the carpenter, whenever you go to a pizza place, you're looking for the best pizza place in town. You're not looking for the best pasta place, the best salad place. You're looking for the best pizza place. You're not looking for the place that has the best salad, pizza, and pasta. Because then you're like, well, their pizza is not that good then. So you want to really fine tune your message, your service, what you're offering, and you have to accept that you're gonna lose people. You're gonna not attract the right people, but that's okay, because if you attract all those people, they're just distractions for things that you're not meant to be doing. So this is very important in the entrepreneurship world, and then something that happened to me too. I got distracted a lot, and I still do every day. Like, I mean, Veronica and I work through this all the time. It's a process that you got to roll through, but I get distracted every single day. But what I'm learning to do is to choose my distractions wisely. Is this a distraction that will serve me, that will grow me, that will improve my business and my income? If it's not, then I let it go, and I accept that it's just not, like, it's not a distraction I want to entertain. So you have to choose what you allow to come into your vortex in your business very, very methodically, and you have to think about it and not just go with the flow because it's going to make you money. Sometimes sometimes that can take you down a really bad spiral. And so you want to be very particular about it. So marketing starts with that. That's the foundation level. I can't talk about anything else without that foundation level, because once you understand that foundation level, that's how I build anybody's marketing plan, is by understanding who they're talking to, who their target market is. And once I understand who they're talking to, it's really simple for me, because I know how to write copy, I know how to write ads, I know how to create social media content, I know who to tag, I know what accounts to share it up to, I know what Facebook groups to share it to, I know what listings to get this listed on, I know, and this is important for books, I know what keywords to use when I list my book. That's very, very important. What keywords am I using for people to find my book online? Very important. And so once you understand the core of like who I'm serving and what I'm providing, everything else unfolds. And then it's just about building the distribution plan of how do I want this to reach people. Do I want it to do organically and build a community and just, share content and build a community of like-minded people? Now, this is the second big tip. You have to engage. You can't just share content and pretend that that's enough. You have to engage with communities. If I had no money and I had to market my services, the first thing I would do is I would start to go to different Facebook group pages, and I would comment on other people's posts and relevant things, and I would start a conversation with them. And I would say, hey, that's really interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Or like, I'm so glad you feel so strongly about that faith. Or I'm so sorry that you're going through such a difficult time. But like genuinely engaging, not selling. Don't sell at all in the first few touches. You engage and you create relationships online. And then eventually you're talking to the people over and over again. And then they're like, by the way, what do you do again? And you're like, oh, well, I do transformational coaching. Wow, that's really cool.
High performance coaching. Performance coaching.
Oh, got it. Oh, thank you for correcting me. So I do high performance coaching. It should be it should be like an after the fact kind of comment. It shouldn't be the first thing you say, because nobody wants to be sold to in their first interaction. They want value, right? Like if I came on this call and I was like, all right, guys, here's my services. This is what I do, package A, B, and C. You'd be so turned off. You would just check out at that point, because you're just like, all right, this person's just trying to sell me. Like they didn't even invest any time in getting to know what I care about. They didn't invest any time in talking about or sharing value. So it's very important to engage and to genuinely join conversations and to be a part of a community and build your own community. I promise you, everything else can come. It'll come. It'll literally start building. You'll get invited to events. You'll get invited to different communities. You'll be asked to speak. You'll be that's how it starts. But the part of it is here's the not so fun part. It takes work, and it's going to take hundreds of hours. It's not 2 hours and you're done. It's hundreds of hours. We're talking about years that I've put into what I do. So it's hundreds of hours, and you may not see results right away, and it's going to get discouraging, and it's going to suck sometimes. And you're just going to have to build and build and build without seeing anything in fruition. And then when it starts to come to fruition, that's when you usually are doing the least amount of work, which is ironic. You're like, I'm not even doing anything anymore. But you've been building for so many, months and so many years that everything seems like it's coming out of nowhere, but it really it's just the fruits of your labor. And that's all it is. It's you just got to put in the effort. If you don't do the effort, you're not going to get any fruition. So that's a high level overview of where I would start based on what you guys are focused on. I can go off on so many tangents, but I will let you guys guide the conversation.
Well, why don't you share a story of how you started your business? I think that will help everybody too.
Okay. So I worked at the Big Four, an accounting firm for Ernst & Young, for 5 or 6 years. So I was a consultant, and I had an awesome job. I think it was really, really cool. but when I moved to LA, I started a blog, and I started making video content, and I started writing, and I built my own website, and I started learning about marketing. And in that experience, I was creating something pretty amazing in my eyes, and people were seeing it, and they were asking me to help them do the same thing for them. And I just did it I started to do it for a big project, which was a big music festival, and we took on all their marketing activities. And people started to see that, and then more people would trickle in and say, "Oh, I like what you're doing with them. How can you help me with this product or sell this business?" So it was just very organic. I didn't even try. I wasn't looking for it. It was very slow. It was very organic, and I was taking my time and learning and creating. And here's something that I do that's very interesting that I caught the other day. I respond a lot more than I try to force anything to happen. So I respond to the clients that come to me. I respond to the tasks that I get given, because I trust that I am building my business off of what's needed, not what I think is needed. Because a lot of times we force what we think is needed onto people versus responding to what's actually needed. So when you listen and you you are really engaged and you really listen to people, you're able to provide and to learn and to build something based on what's needed versus that. So I got a couple of clients, and I really liked it, and I was getting paid almost enough, as much as my job, not quite as much. So I felt brave enough. I felt like my calling was to leave my job and start my own business. And I always felt very compelled to have my own business at some point. So when I couldn't keep going into work anymore, I was like, all right, I gotta quit. I can't keep doing this. I couldn't do any more work. I was like, it would bother me to work any longer. I felt like, okay, I just want to be doing my business all day. I don't want to be doing anybody else's job. And so then that's when I quit, and it was a very difficult first year. And I mean, I'm so grateful for it though, because I feel like I've learned so much from that, the ups and the downs of having lots of clients, having no clients, having lots of clients, having no clients. It's an agency world is a very difficult place, but I think it makes you tough and strong. It's good.
Do you guys have any questions for Melissa?
I guess I'll ask a bunch of questions. First, I just want to tell you, and this might not mean anything, but I'm proud of you. And for 28, you're so intelligent, which I think is amazing.
That's why I shared your age. That's why I shared your age.
I mean, that's incredible. I grew up, in a farming community in Minnesota, so that's we didn't do any of that stuff. We're still using MS-DOS when everybody was using, I don't know, Windows something. But what I think is very interesting is you brought up your foundation, and that's what carried you into your success. And I think that's very interesting, because I've been building these social media followings for the past couple of years, and now people just show up. Veronica showed up because I became friends with Manny Lopez, I believe, and I became friends with Manny Lopez from Forbes Riley, and it kind of all spiraled out. But I'm so happy that I met Veronica, because she has such a great spirit, much like you. And it really lifts me up. But gosh, the whole website thing, it took me forever to understand what my WordPress even was. And then I have a marketing mentor. His name is Jim Parr. He does Parr Media. And he helped me kind of just piece it together, for as cheap as I could afford, because I'm a corrections officer. I don't make that much. But I don't know. The target demographic, of course, 7 to 35 is crazy. I'm really going to want to target, I don't know, probably 25 to 35. Just give a 10-year gap. But
you have to understand that 7-year-olds spend time on Instagram. I'm telling you, because I have 11. And 7-year-olds might not even have Instagram accounts yet. They might be not old enough to have it, but they're gonna be on other things. Most children don't use Facebook at all. Facebook is a more adult demographic.
Yeah, it absolutely is. What I do is I hire these artists off of Fiverr, and they do little scenes, but I make them in an anime style, and I put those up on my Instagram, and then I just go to.
Yeah, no. People that you're targeting, they all on YouTube.
They're all on YouTube.
That's a good point. I mean, YouTube is performing really well in terms of.
I'm thinking where my children are.
It's performing really well in advertising.
They're on YouTube.
You know that brings up something that I just caught. I think I just caught from you, Jeremiah, and it's like a little bit of like hesitation and
Yes.
A little bit of like fear of putting yourself out there.
Well, I just think everybody else has got something so huge, that they're doing. I don't know how much I contribute.
Oh, I see. Yeah, right. Absolutely. And that's part of the those limiting beliefs that we have to like overcome. And that's something you're probably definitely can, I've gotten through that with Veronica too. And it's false. It's so false. It's like, I can't even begin to tell you how false it is. And it's part of it's just a little mental hurdle that you got to get through. Because once you get through it, you'll start to become a content creating machine, and you'll just be sharing knowledge all day, every day. Sharing knowledge, sharing content, there's like a bad stigma towards it because people think, oh my God, your social media, you're addictive. But what they don't see is the blessings in it, how selfless, how selfless it is to share content on the daily basis, to really take time out of your day to impact somebody virtually, no matter what, no matter if you feel like it, you're doing it for them. So once you put what you do for other people, which what you're doing definitely is, once you make that the most important thing, how you feel, whether or not it's valuable or not, and how comfortable you feel with it will matter less. Your why has to be very clear, and who you're doing it for has to be very clear. You can't let anything stop you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a huge mental barrier. It is, because I still go through it. We all go through it. We just have to decide that we're going to do it no matter what, and we're going to take control, and we're just going to go forth and push through. And whether or not it's as valuable as somebody else, you have to let other people decide that for themselves.
Did you guys hear that too?
It's my Skype. It's my
Oh,
Skype.
okay. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm terrible.
No, you're good.
So much happens in the background of my house. I'm like,
Oh man, this is gonna be so good. I'm super excited to see this book that you come out. Let me know more as it's happening, because.
And Jeremiah, you might want to follow Melissa. Melissa does videos too, and Melissa has she does a lot of things too. You wanna probably follow her too. You like her content.
oh, absolutely, yeah. You're.
So you can find her on Facebook under Melissa Rodriguez, and you'll see that I'm gonna be your common friend.
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I also share a lot of videos. Jeremiah, I'll put my info in the group chat for everyone to follow. All of my social platforms. You guys can just be friends. Any other questions, even in the chat if you can't speak?
Jim,
Sorry
do you
about
have
that.
question? Jim, do you want to put it on a chat question? Because I know, Jim, something is wrong with your video stuff.
Yeah, I took a screenshot. It put me on mute and then stopped me from broadcasting. I'm sorry about that.
No worries. I'm just sharing all my social media so we can be friends.
Yay! I'm so excited.
Yay! This is literally like a stock. Oops, wrong one.
Jeremiah is amazing. When he does his Facebook lives, he has like 300. I've seen him 1,000 people. Like he has a lot of people watching his views. I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think I'm the one who encouraged you, right? Like you didn't do until I told you need to do them, and then you started and it's like blew up.
I should have did more. The thing was is that I used to do quite a bit of little motivational things, but as I've gone along, I've gotten more and more busy with the things that I don't like, which are, you know, corrections. You know, my job has become more and more busy, and the things that I like to do, motivate other people, is even though I motivate them, you know, I get a chance to motivate the inmates because they've got no hope. You know, they've got you know, drugs waiting for them at home, or abusive relationships waiting for them at home, and no hope. So I try to get them to you know, to open up their minds to the possibility of you know, of change. You know, to make a difference, you first have to be different. You know, so you have to completely, you know, eradicate what is holding you in place. You know, whether it's an addiction or you know, your friends. there's so much. You know, down here, one of the analogies that we use, yeah, because everybody has crabs, you know, that they go and get the crabs in the containers. Well, the containers don't have a top on it, and the reason is because crabs, if they try to escape, will be pulled back down by all the other crabs. And it's true, you know, if you're around your friends and you try to escape that situation, they're all going to pull you back in. So you have to, you know, you have to escape at all costs. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff that I've borrowed from other motivational speakers. But I wish I could.
Because what matters is that you create it for yourself. It's all that matters.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
all motivational speakers, including Tony Robbins, borrowed it from somebody else, and so.
Oh yeah.
And then you mix it and become you.
Yeah. No. Actually, I watched a documentary on Tony Robbins when he was, I guess it was in the 90s. It was on the Biography channel. And you know, what got him started was a bunch of arguments with his mom. And I was like, I've been there. But
you know, I think it's really interesting because I heard this somewhere. I don't know the right exact quote, but it's really interesting. The concept that it's not a bad thing to distance yourself from people or environments that don't uplift you or bring you up, even if they're your own family. You know, when I moved to Los Angeles, I think that a big reason that I was able to start my business and do all these things is because I was by myself in Los Angeles. And I love my parents to death, and they do nothing to they don't really do anything to like try to hold me back, but sometimes we don't realize just what a strain there can be, just even simple demands, right? Simple expectations, simple demands, things that, why aren't you visiting me? Why aren't you calling me? Why don't you do this? Right? Those simple things can be very draining, and they can take up space that is reserved for our creative expression. So it's important. Sometimes it's important for us to do what's best for ourselves first, and then to help others, and to accept that it may not look pretty and it may hurt some people along the way. But in order, something that keeps coming up for me, and I've been talking a lot about this with Veronica, is that now is the time for us to stop playing victim and start taking responsibility and stepping into our power, and stop holding back. Because really, at the end of the day, the only thing that holds us back is ourselves. We're literally all that hold ourselves. Like nobody's really like technically holding us back, but we play small and we play victim, and we think we can't do something, and we're like, oh well, this is happening, or this person's holding me back, or my circumstances suck, and we keep saying all the reasons why things are not working, And instead of like taking control and saying, well, if that doesn't work, let's try this. If this doesn't happen, let's try this. If this person brings me down, let's eliminate them. We're so afraid to take power of our own lives. And it's a very interesting thing to me that like, I just feel like it keeps coming up to me. It's like, it's time to take power. It's time to take the power back. Like, you have the power.
Well, I
I
believe
like
it because we change dimensions. So we're coming from 3D to 5D, and 4D it's like where we sleep. So because we change dimensions, we change paradigm. And people like Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn, they were to get you out of your thinking to your heart, where now we're moving from your heart to your power. Like, I've been talking today to somebody privately. He's leading like huge teams in top airspace. Like, they launching satellites and rockets and all of that. And he said that to be a leader, you have to be selfless. And you come he says, I'm so confident in myself that I can cover with that confidence everybody else. And he's writing a book about it. He was consulting me on the vision. So that's where it comes. It's like, when you own your power, it's a very quiet place. It's a place of like, you just know that you are good. Like, you've seen Carlos, you've seen Melissa, they know they're good. They don't have to talk about it. Like, Carlos, he's so creative just by his face. You could see he's a creative being. And Melissa is just, Melissa works on tenacity, on practicality, like, and she does it this way. Like, she has her own creative being also. But when you own your power and you know you're good, you don't come and run with that. You just know it.
Yeah, Veronica, I want to give you so much credit for this. And it's helping people when we're not in that space of owning our power or recognizing our power. And I mean, I wasn't always in this space, and I was in a very self-doubt, very like kind of broken a little bit space when I was leaving, transitioning from my job, and everything was fluctuating. I think when I met Veronica, I had just gotten out of a relationship, a bad breakup, like new transition of everything. And things like that in life can break you, and they really can. I mean, that's totally like, that's part of it, right? So it is really crucial to find mentors and guides to help guide you through those difficult moments, because it's bound to happen, and we're not always going to be strong. So we need to just recognize, okay, right now maybe I'm not in my strongest point. Being self-aware, journaling is something I found that helped me a lot. Journaling, so you can become more self-aware what you need to work through. The moment you do that, and meditation is huge. Once you do those things, practice good habits, you start to shift and transform yourself. Yeah, I feel very, very grateful for Veronica, and I think this is good that she connects us. She does really good at connecting people.
Well, thank you so much for all your time, Miss Melissa. Melissa is one of those kindest, sweetheart people. Like, a few weeks ago, I came to her. She didn't even go with me to event, dressed me in evening gown, made a bunch of pictures with me. It's like, the other day she did my makeup at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I've never met anybody who would be doing things like that for me. And when you have such a hard support, it allows you to move to the whole different level. That's why I love Mastermind, because we change perspective. It changes your perspective on life. Because when you listen from people who've done something that you haven't done, it changes complete perspective on your life. That's why I've shared today in my Facebook Live that I believe in 3 things. I believe in God, I believe in my children, and I believe in Mastermind. I truly did. That's how I finished college. I finished college in 4 years because I organized study groups. What study groups are? Mastermind. And I didn't allow them to talk about their boyfriends because it's energy draining for healer. I didn't know that. I said, we came here to do accounting, and boom, 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 boom. So all that drama was like, they didn't like me because they said that I'm selfless, like Like, but we were working. And I surround myself by a lot of men because they don't talk about drama. You just have to get a couple of beers after, and then everything is good. And that's how I went through. So I'm a huge believer that masterminds is a shortcut to wherever you're going. So I want to thank you, all of you guys, to be here today, and I'm looking forward to see you all next Tuesday. And Melissa, thank you so much for joining in. Love you with all my heart.
Thank you guys so much. I'm sorry, Jim, I couldn't catch you up, but I put all my social handles there. So just follow me, and hopefully we can connect at a different time.
Jim, do you have any question for Melissa before we let her go? You mute yourself. Can you unmute yourself for a second?
Boom. There you are.
Not off the top of my head.
You're good?
I'm at a loss. I don't even know where to start. But Veronica, we can catch up, and you can help me narrow down the scope.
Okay.
Make my brain smaller.
Okay.
You don't need to make your brain smaller. You need to expand
I
your
like
brain
Jim. Jim's awesome.
to accept the whole greatness of who you are.
We were just talking about marketing and all.
Yeah,
and then
years ago, and he kind of see my progress. Like he sees, oh hi Raul.
Raul!
Here.
Oh my God! Look who it is. We know Raul from Facebook.
Yeah, Raul is planning to go to US and to meet all of us. Melissa, you don't know that yet. He says, "Can you all get together in one place?" I'm like, "For you, we'll figure it out."
That's awesome.
Perfect. So, looking forward to see you all next week, and thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you, Melissa. That was
Thank you,
very,
guys.
very knowledge and wisdom filled, and I really needed it. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so happy. That makes
And
me
thank you,
glad.
Veronica, because you're the best.
And thank you, Jeremiah, for following up. It means the world to me.
Yeah, thank you for being so attentive. Appreciate it. All right, bye guys. I'm gonna head out. I'll let you guys finish up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
successful
Bye.
future, Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you. You
Oh,
too.
Everybody.
You too.
We all are. Have an amazing day. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.